Hello, Degens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes and Degenerate Bets all in one. That's right, we have an episode so big we had to put two in one. This is for NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. Big, big slate ahead of us. A lot of really good games. But before we get into it, I do have to, of course, introduce ourselves. I am, of course, the Brofict one, and with me is, as always, is the man with the numbers, the man that sportsbooks are afraid of, the sportsbook whisperer, Mr. Noah Engelbretson. Noah, how the hell are you doing today?
Great. A lot of exciting college basketball going on
A lot of
today. No
basketball today.
more, no more undefeated teams.
Yeah.
Um, got more of that fun coming up this week. Obviously, more NBA, more NHL to look forward to as well. And then we have wild card weekend. Sorry, super wild card weekend.
Super wild
I don't
card
know what
weekend.
I don't know what makes it super, but I'm here for it.
Neither do I. I would think that it has to be the fact that now we have
A
Saturday,
Monday night
Sunday,
game.
and now Monday night. But
That's what I
also,
was assuming.
since the expansion of the wild card, it's been kind of super, and I'm here for it. I love more wild card games. The only one the divisional bye, is awesome, and I think really leads into a lot of good matchups throughout the weekend. No, I'm looking at this slate right now, and there's not one game I don't want to sit down, open up a six pack, and watch, but I got to work it and stuff, so I can't do that. So that sucks. But honestly, these games look incredible. A lot of picks that I want to go through in these games, and just a lot of stuff
Yeah.
we got to talk about because, I mean, even in the first game of the slate, there's a lot to talk about and unpack there. Before we get into it, though, do you have anything you're looking for? Any big storylines that I'm missing before we go in? I mean, obviously, we had Black Monday and a little bit of Black Tuesday with Joe Judge getting fired.
See, that was the funniest thing ever. I I love how like Giants fans are like, "What the hell? How is Joe Judge like out of all the coaches like you get out of left field Brian Flores getting fired by the Dolphins and then everyone's sitting there like, and Joe Judge still has a job?" And then the Giants were like, "Nope, just kidding. We were
See,
just a day late to the party."
I feel like the way they fired Joe Judge was the most Giants way to fire someone. They were behind on the day when they were supposed to fire him. They were late to the party. They were like, "Oh shit,
The
that's
the
right, we got to
paperwork
fire him."
the paperwork
Oh,
didn't go through on Mondays,
I thought that was
so they had
next
to wait.
week.
So they had to wait for Tuesday morning.
Yeah, exactly. They just didn't get through the NFL transaction wire fast enough, and they were like, "Oh." I just feel like that was a very Giants thing to do. But hey, all those guys. I mean, Brian Flores already being rumored to be getting an interview to the Chicago Bears as a Bears fan. I'm not disappointed with that. I'm okay with Brian Flores coming in.
Man,
I don't think
that
he
one
did terrible with the Dolphins. I was kind of shocked
no,
to see
and
that firing.
yeah, as were many people in the sports world. Not sure what the reasoning was, what that was all about, but he'll be one of usually you get fired as a head coach, you're back in like a coordinator or like an advisory role type of thing. Brian Flores is one guy I think we could see just transition straight into another head coaching job with all
Oh,
the openings
100%.
around. I think
100%.
I mean he had the Dolphins trending in the right direction, and a lot of the things that were going wrong for the Dolphins weren't his fault. Like
No, not his fault.
he didn't make any of these trades, any of these draft picks, any of that, and he was doing pretty well with what he had.
From everything that I've been reading and from the insiders and everything, it seems like Brian Flores, the issue wasn't anything he was doing on the field. It was that there was apparently a lot of tension between him and Tua. And the Dolphins, as an organization, wanted to keep going forward with Tua, where maybe Brian Flores wasn't as receptive to that, obviously looking to bring Deshaun Watson and everything like that. Or they're just
Yeah,
using him as a
but
scapegoat to
he's not
just
the one.
move
It
along.
wasn't his decision to draft Tua, right? Like,
No, not at
and
all.
I get
Not
that.
saying it was.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I was kind of reading into that a little bit too. That part of it is him and management had different ideas of how they want to go forward in the future with the organization, which maybe led to him being fired. But that's an interesting one. He'll definitely end up head coaching somewhere else in the NFL. I think probably
Oh,
next year
100%.
even.
Oh yeah, he will not be out of a job for a long time. He will have a job by the off season. I'm sorry, not by the off season, by training camp, and he'll be getting a new system in there and everything, looking for a new quarterback. Jacksonville is another place that I've heard has been rumored for him, which would be interesting. But
Well,
we will obviously.
I
Sorry, go
think
ahead.
any of the like what we got 7 or 8 head coaching like
There's a lot.
vacancies now.
There's a lot of vacancies, a lot of open jobs right now, a lot of people that are going to be interviewing a lot of places. Jacksonville, obviously, a very desirable place to go right there, right now, with Trevor
Yeah,
Lawrence, #1 draft pick.
and obviously there's a handful of those teams that we'll have to wait and see who gets hired as GM before we see coaching hires. Bears, Vikings, Giants all need to figure out who they're hiring at GM. I think before I think that's a crucial mistake if you hire a head coach before the GM because you want that GM to have input and be the one making that head coaching hire. That's
Exactly. You want the egg to come before
kind
the
of
chicken in
important.
this case. You don't want the chicken to come before the egg.
Although the Bears are a team that would definitely make that mistake, like hire a coach and then hire a GM who doesn't want to work with that coach. That seems like a very Chicago Bears thing to do, but we'll see.
Again, I am praying for Harbaugh. I have nothing else to comment on the Bears right now. Harbaugh,
I
please come home.
I think if Harbaugh has his choice, I think he would go to the Bears over anybody else just because of his ties to the organization.
100%. Probably wants to mend some ties there, too. I was talking to a Bears insider, aka my dad, a longtime Bears fan, said that Harbaugh's time there was not met with a lot of love from the people of Chicago. So I'm sure Harbaugh would love to go back in there and win some hearts,
Well,
win a Super Bowl.
you know why that is? It's because he was a quarterback, and the Bears have never had one competent quarterback in their
Exactly. So,
history. Well,
and that's when you wonder
I
how much
mean,
is it his
Sid
fault?
Sid Luckman was, but since the '40s, the Bears have not had a competent quarterback, and
Well,
that's when they
Noah,
didn't throw the ball.
we will obviously be keeping an eye on the head coaching moves and everything like that later on when more stuff does develop. You ready to dive into Super Wildcard Week?
Oh, am I?
Whew. And Noah, we start off with a doozy. A game that is happening because, and I truly believe it is because we had our first ever live stream during the Sunday night Chargers Raiders game, and we were there betting on the Raiders, and here they are now, the first game of Super Wildcard Weekend. The Raiders are visiting the Bengals. The line right now, you got the Bengals -5, total 49.5, Noah. As of this recording, you got 41% of the bets on the Raiders, but 79% of the money. So you got a lot of heavy money coming in. I mean, this is a hard one. This is a hard one for
Money,
me.
money. You said money's on the Raiders.
79%. 41% of the
Woo.
bets, though. So we got a
That's
lot of big money coming in
interesting.
early on
So
the Raiders.
so the majority of the bets are on the Bengals, but a way heavier amount of the money is on the Raiders right now.
So you're seeing a lot of casuals right now go in on the Bengals, get their bets in early in the week before the line moves. And you are seeing 1.5 point movement from where the line opened at 6.5 to 5 now. I haven't seen any news or anything that would cause the line to move, so I'm assuming at this point that it has to do with the money coming in and where the bets are being placed, and that's why the books are giving them a little bit more cushion on the Raiders moving at 1.5 points. With that being said, the Bengals are good, bro. Bengals are a good football team, and I'm
Yeah,
confident in saying that now. They have clicked when they needed to click, and they have beat teams that they
I
needed
gotta.
to beat, and that they should beat.
The Bengals' offense is good,
Yeah, okay, fair. Okay, fair. I'll give you that.
and I would say borderline lethal. They have a probably Bengals
They
might
have a
have a
top
top
five
five.
matchup, top five
They
duo.
might. I mean, I think their offense as a whole, not according to any stats or metrics, but me and like like what I've watched in the eye test, I'd put the Bengals as a top 5 offense. Um, I just their defense is not quite where it needs to be, and
No, not
I'm
at
just
all.
gonna fair warning. I'll set the tone now that we are in the playoffs. I personally put a lot more emphasis on defense because teams with lethal offenses get bounced in the first or second round of the playoffs when they don't have a defense to complement it.
That's true. And what have we been talking about? What did we talk about all game Sunday? Mason freaking Crosby. That guy is unbelievable off the edge.
Max Crosby on the Raiders.
Max Crosby, fuck me, dude. I'm watching so many sports
I
now.
I was gonna say I was a little confused. I'm like, why are we talking about Mason Crosby here?
Just fuck off, Noah. We both knew who I was talking about.
Max
Anyway,
with two X's,
the
baby.
double X. Love to see it. So,
That's a
Noah,
power name. That's a power name right there. Putting two X's on Max.
it's a power move. It definitely is. Definitely is. So, Noah, let's get into the pick. Where are you thinking? What are you leaning?
Um, I'm heavy on Raiders to cover
Okay.
on this one. I don't think they lose this game by more than a touchdown. So um, I hate the number 5. I will be buying a point. I'm gonna
Yep.
buy it to 6. I'm gonna buy it to 6.5. I'm gonna say they cover 6.5.
Noah, you and I, well, if you if you're a listener and you don't know this, you haven't been a listener long enough. I used to work for Disney. What comes with working for Disney is a lot of fairy tales, Cinderella stories, if you will. And I think the Raiders, excuse me, the Raiders are at a position where they're going to make a Cinderella run. I'm not saying they're winning the Super Bowl. I'm not going to come out and say that yet. I want to see how they play this week. But I'm going to be all over the spread, and then I'm also taking Raiders money line. Raiders money line against the Bengals. I'm looking for the upset early. Road
Yeah,
dog. Let's get it.
yeah. I might sprinkle that money line at plus 200 as well. That's kind of juicy right now.
That
I
is
do like
juicy.
the
And
I do like the over in this game as well, AJ. I'm seeing it
49
at
and a half on
40.
the over.
I'm seeing 49. Might take that
Again,
down to
depends on the
40.
book you're looking at.
Might take that down to 48.5 just to be safe. See what
Wouldn't blame you
happens.
on that. Let's see what we got up
Although
next.
I don't know that I even need to do that because 49, that's 7 true touchdowns. I don't think this game is 7 true touchdowns and extra points. I don't think 49 pushes, so maybe I'll take it at 49 even. Um, but ultimately, like, my decision on this one comes down to the fact that this Bengals team, they've shown like really, really good flashes, but they're still the Bengals. This is still the same team that
Still the Bengals.
still the same team that needed a game-winning field goal to beat the Jaguars, who lost to the Jets, who lost to the Bears. It's they played really well down the stretch, but I don't know. And these two teams did play earlier this year. The Bengals at the Raiders won 32-13, pretty dominant win. And you do know that I love revenge games, AJ. I think revenge games are huge.
They're a thing. It's a real thing.
Beating a team once, that's fine. Beating a playoff caliber team twice in the same season, very hard. You get a divisional matchup. If they haven't been split 1-1, beating the same team 3 times, a playoff quality team 3 times in the same season, super hard. I mean, it happens sometimes, but I am going to invoke revenge game on this one, and the
I
Bengals
like it.
being the Bengals and not knowing how to win because they have Bengals have not won a playoff game since before text messages were invented.
That's
Saw
true. I
that little
saw
nugget
that.
earlier this week.
No one has ever been
19,
able to send a text
1991.
message saying the Bengals are in the playoffs or whatever. Unbelievable.
1991 was the last time the Bengals have won a playoff game.
That's terrible. Well, Noah, from one playoff team that hasn't seen a playoff berth in forever, to two teams that are getting, well, one team very comfortable in the playoffs and another team starting to get comfortable. The last game on Saturday, you got Bill Belichick, Mac Jones, and the Patriots going to Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and the Buffalo Bills. Whew, this is going to be a doozy. The Bills 4.5 point home favorite. 44.5 is the total. I oh, this is a
This is a
tough
tough
game,
game.
bro.
This is
This
a
is a
tough
very
game.
tough game. Let's talk about the money and the bets where it's at really quick. You got 64% of the bets on the home favorite and 76% of the money. So the public is all over the home favorite in this game. Ah, dude, rookie quarterback, divisional playoff game, short week. That is a hard ask. But if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be the kid who is in the Alabama system, who's in the Patriot system with a 7-time Super Bowl, 6-time Super Bowl champion in Bill Belichick. And that Patriots defense, I feel, is a lot stronger than that Bills defense. Noah, what are your thoughts on this game? This is about as 50-50, I think, as we're gonna get. Interesting that the bookmakers put it outside of a field goal. I really feel like a 3 points, and they would be covered in this game, both ways.
And that's going to be the kicker for me is the fact that this game is sitting at 4 points.
That's rough, and it hasn't moved at all, even with all the bets and the money on the Bills.
So I'm on the Patriots to cover. I do think the Bills find a way to win this, but I'm also not super confident on that, which is why I think it's funny if you look at futures odds, the Bills have the second best odds at winning the AFC behind Kansas City. I don't feel confident that they're going to make it out of the first round. Now, the last game we covered, Bengals Raiders, I don't think either of those teams make it out of the AFC regardless, right?
No chance.
If the Bills can get past the Patriots, yeah, they certainly have a decent chance. This might be the toughest game for the Bills in the, on the road to the Super Bowl that they have, and it comes in wild card weekend. It's going to be tough. Belichick's going to have that team prepared. Belichick's going to have a tremendous game plan. And I think that game plan is likely going to involve relying on Mac Jones to do as little as possible.
100%.
So
They beat it.
if the Bills can shut down the run game of the Patriots, and force Mac Jones into passing situations, I think Mac Jones, he's a rookie quarterback in his first ever playoff appearance. He's going to probably make some mistakes. I mean, he might make some mistakes regardless. It just depends on how costly those mistakes are. If he's, missing the mark a couple times and some incomplete passes, it's no big deal. But if he goes out and throws 2 interceptions, game over. Bills are going to win this by double digits. I don't think Belichick's going to allow him to even have the opportunity to make those mistakes. Keep in mind, we did have a Patriots game this year where they threw the ball 3 times. And they won. And they won that game.
And it was against the Bills.
Against the Bills. I mean, granted, that was terrible weather, but I expect a similar game plan to that game 4 or 5 weeks ago, whatever it was, that the Patriots won in Buffalo. I don't think Mac Jones throws very many passes. I would take I don't know what the number is at, but take his under in pass attempts. I think that is a great bet. I'm taking the Patriots to cover. I'm going to take the under in this game as well. I don't know what it's at. 44 is what I'm
44
seeing.
even right now.
Yeah, give me under 44. Give me the Patriots to cover 4 points. I don't know if I want to sprinkle money on the money line yet. Plus 175. It's not terrible. Oddly enough, I feel more confident in the Raiders to win the game than the Patriots, but fuck it. I'm not going to shy away from it. I might sprinkle a little on the Patriots money line as well. So
Well,
I'm backing the dogs so far through our first two picks.
Noah, I'm right there with you with the dogs. This is, and I think Vegas has these lines exactly where they want them. They're not going to move them because they're trying to get as many points on the quote unquote favorite when really it should be flipped. The Patriots are the better football team. They're better coached, and I think experience coaching in situations like this matters. Bill Belichick understands what he has in this first year quarterback. He made the playoffs, won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady in his first year as quarterback. Let's not forget that. So he does have experience in that.
Well, not Tom Brady's first
Sorry, second year.
year starting,
Second year starting. First year starting.
not
Second
his
year with the
first year in the
Patriots.
league. Yeah.
My bad. Excuse me, Noah. But still, my point being, Bill Belichick been there, done that. He can do it again. I love Patriots +4. I'm taking Patriots on the money line. I'm also taking the under. And then just because it's super wild card weekend, I'm also going to throw first half under at 21.5 points. I'm going to throw that one on my card. Watching the
I like
Patriots
that.
play
I like
last
that
week,
half point
watching the.
hook.
Sorry?
I said I like that half point hook there at 21.5. That's a
I
good number.
love that half point
That's
hook. Love that.
a good number.
And that's why I'm taking it because I think if they do get even close to it, they hit 21. It's 3 touchdowns, simple as that. I really think it's going to be more 14, 15 points total, but hey, that's why we play the games. We see what happens. And,
Exactly.
no, this next game, I have so many thoughts about this game that I hate, and I think you are going to hate me after this conversation, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Eagles,
I hate,
Buccaneers, the first game on the Sunday slate.
AJ. I hate what I am like. What my brain is telling me to do on this game.
I'm
I
glad that
hate
we
it.
both just hate this game. We're just both not fans of what we have to do for this game.
I have I have so many like intrusive betting thoughts about this game. Like
Right? Because, like, part of me, the responsible bettor wants to come out, but then the degenerate in me is like, dude, no, you're an idiot. You got to take this. And anyway, let's get to the line. Tampa Bay, 8.5 point favorites going into this game, total being at 49 points. What is
where's
this
the money
Eagles
at?
team, Noah?
Where's the money
Money,
at?
let me check for you. Let me check.
I will. This Eagles team is. I'll tell you what they are. They're one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL. They're a lot like the
Honestly, dude.
Bengals. They
Shit.
are the second half of the season. They've been putting up a lot of points. That being said, their defense fucking sucks.
Defense is so bad, dude. Defense
But
sucks.
yeah, they've won enough games to make the playoffs. I will
And so here's
say
my argument for this game.
I will say the Eagles are what 0-6, 0-7 record against teams that made the playoffs this year.
Yes. Very
So
bad record against
they're
good teams.
including loss to the 49ers, 2 losses to the Cowboys, a loss to the Chiefs, a loss to the Bucks, a loss to the Raiders. Chargers did not make it. So yes, 0-6 against playoff teams. And 0-7 against teams that finished over 500.
Ugh. But this is the playoffs. This is where you throw statistics completely out the window. This is anyone on
Sorry,
any given Sunday.
I take
And
that
let's
back.
talk about where the money's at.
The Saints finished over 500, so the Eagles are 1-7 against teams over 500 this year.
It's a little bit better, a little bit better.
But they're taking care of business against bad teams, which is like what a halfway decent team does, and which for the future for the Eagles tells me they're, Sirianni is clearly much better than Doug Peterson, who Peterson won a Super Bowl, but yeah, because they were 8-1 against teams that were below 500 this year. So like they're you're asking what is this Eagles team, and they're slightly above average is I guess the best way I can put it.
Hey, that's a fair analysis of it. Asking
They're
about the
not a
money,
joke,
you got
but they're
63%
not great.
of the bets on the Buccaneers and 57% of the money. So obviously, the public is going to be on the Buccaneers in
on
this
the
game.
Bucks.
But
They always will
Noah,
be.
we were talking about
The public's going to be on the Bucks every game that they play in the playoffs.
no, obviously. And we're talking about this defense and what this defense is and everything. Don't get me wrong, this defense ain't shit. However, this defense doesn't need to be shit because who do they need to guard? No. Like, seriously, who
Yeah.
on the Tampa Bay offense starting right now is worth double coverage? Is worth playing man to man constantly and having a safety over top? I can't think
No,
of
and
anyone on the active roster right now.
it'll be interesting. Fournette might be back for this game,
That's what I've read.
which would be huge for the Bucks getting Fournette back with what he's been able to do, because then you have a multi-dimensional offense. Without
Yes.
Fournette, they're kind of one-dimensional, and if they don't have Fournette and they're stuck in a one-dimensional offense, Philly might have a path to winning this game, because I think you just double team Mike Evans and then like
Yeah.
what, and then force Brady and Gronk to beat you. Which, I mean, that might not be the best thing to do, because Brady and Gronk have been able to do that. But
They can beat
Brady,
you. Brady and Gronk can beat you.
Brady and Gronk, specifically Gronk, is not what he was 5 or 6
No.
years ago. Still somebody you do have to worry about. He can
Still a force,
come
absolutely.
out
But
huge.
he's not going to beat you.
He's not Gronk of 5 6 years ago. Yeah, like I said, I Fournette's going to make so much of a difference. Whether or not Fournette is playing is going to make a huge difference in this game, in my opinion. Um, Either way, if he's playing or not, I mean, this Tampa Bay defense hasn't been anything special. They've given up a lot of points to a number of teams. I think this 8.5 is way too much, AJ. I think it's way too much.
So you going Eagles?
Oh, I'm certainly going Eagles plus 8.5. And here's where I was saying, like, I hate what's going on in my head with this game, because I have a little devil on one shoulder saying take the Eagles plus 8.5, bet against Tom Brady, and then I have one on the other shoulder saying, oh, take the money line, it's juicy.
Wow.
And the fact that I've been burned by betting against Tom Brady in the playoffs in the past, yet I don't know if this is me just like not learning my lesson, but it feels like this year's Bucks team is not as good. Like, they're not as good as their record. I will say I can definitively say they're not as good as their 13-4 record says.
Yeah.
They had a number of close calls against subpar teams this season, and that defense has been the biggest reason why. And then late down the stretch, you take away two of the three or three of the four biggest offensive weapons on that team.
Yeah, dude. Injury has been
I
a
know
bug there, and it's been rough there.
I know it's Tom Brady, but like, who the hell is he going to throw to?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but I have been burned too many times by betting against Tom Brady, and that's why I hate what's going on with this game. I'm going to take him at 8.5, praying that it moves to 7.5, 7.5, 7 by Sunday, but I'm not holding my breath. I'll still take Tom Brady and the Buccaneers minus 8.5, because that defense is god awful. Noah, next game on the slate, we have one team that.
I'm also. I won't go into detail about it, but I'm taking the over in that game as well. The Bucks
over
Eagles.
in that game. I like the over in that game. That was at what? 49? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game. I can see that happening. Anyway, going into the next game, we got the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. It's hard to say we've been burned by the Cowboys in the playoffs, because we weren't alive the last time the Cowboys made a playoff. So this is new territory for us, betting on Cowboys in the playoffs.
Not true. I mean, they've been bounced a couple times by the Packers and other ones. Well, they made the playoffs. You know, through that whole Romo era, where they'd go like basically 8-8 every year. Sometimes rip off 9-7, 10-6 seasons and make the playoffs, but they never.
Oh God, I forgot Romo.
They never have really been a Super Bowl threat since the 90s.
But here
They've
we are now,
made
very expensive quarterback that is in the backfield, along with a running back that claims to be very hungry, but is only hungry, it appears, on select dates. Will this be one of those times Ezekiel Elliott wants to eat, or is he on a diet? We will find out on Sunday. The line right
Zeke
now, you
hasn't
got the Dallas.
Zeke hasn't eaten for 2 years, man.
No, he hasn't eaten at all. It's been
I think his
terrible.
stomach has shrunk. His stomach has shrunk up, and he's not as hungry anymore.
No, absolutely. And you do have the Dallas Cowboys -3 on the spread, total at 50 and a half. The money we are looking at, wow, 49% of the bets on the 49ers. However, 76% of the money is on the 49ers as well. It looks like the public is fading the Cowboys. And I think it's just because San Francisco's the hot team right now. They've been ripping off wins convincingly. Jimmy G's found his groove. And I can't blame the public for taking the underdog here in this situation. However, at Jerry World, if this wasn't at Jerry World, different conversation. If this was the Cardinals playing at Jerry World, different conversation. But this is a 49ers team that shouldn't be here with a very far superior Cowboys team who is not going to get bounced in the wild card game. Give me Dallas -3. Staying away from the total on this one. I'm probably going to live bet it, see how the first couple drives go. But 50 and a half, I'm not comfortable betting on that number.
Yeah, AJ, the Cowboys are in a weird position where they have very subtly cruised to a 13-4 record against the spread this season. That's something that people aren't really talking about. The Cowboys 13-4 ATS. Now I think they've lost. I think all four of their losses they maybe didn't cover. But when this team wins, they win big. So I'm kind of conflicted because I don't know that they're going to win, but when they win big. When they've lost, they have lost close for the most part. Other than that weird one against the Broncos where they got just trashed by Denver somehow. Then again, that was Dak coming off of an injury. Oh man, I am conflicted about this one. I think this is the highest over under of the wild card weekend. I think rightfully so. Neither team has a particularly stellar defense, and both teams are loaded with weapons on offense. Niners maybe not loaded, but Deebo Samuel is an absolute stud. Clearly playing about like four different positions now, as we saw in their
Yeah.
win over the
Plays a
Rams,
little
where
bit of
he
everywhere.
had, over the past 2 weeks, he's had a passing, rushing, and receiving touchdown. I mean, what can't Debo do? He's become their like number 2 option at running back while simultaneously being their number 1 option at receiver. Ayuk has, he struggled to start the season, but he's kind of playing a lot better lately. Man, this is a tough pick for me. This is tough because I think if Dallas wins, I think they do cover the 3, but I don't know that they're going to win. And it makes me really nervous, but I'm going to take the Cowboys to cover the 3. It scares the hell out of me taking that, but I'm going for it.
Doesn't scare me at all. No, this is.
I'm taking under 50.5 in this one as well.
I like that.
I think something weird happens. This game goes lower than expected.
Now, Noah, let's talk about a game that has the potential to be very weird, and I think that is how this game will turn out. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs a 12.5-point favorite, total at 46, right on the money at 46. You got 55% of the bets, 45% of the money on the Chiefs. So the public does seem to be kind of split on this game. 12.5, a lot of points. And Noah, what does this show say all the time? The Chiefs hate covering.
Well,
They're allergic to it. They don't do it.
I mean, I knew you were going to bring that up, so I looked it up. The Chiefs are 8-9 ATS this season, so pretty much
Still,
500 against the spread
but still not 500. They're still under 500, so
by a game.
still under
Although
500.
during their 5 or 6 game win streak thing that they put together, whatever it was, after their slow start this year, I think they went like 5-1 over like 6 games ATS. So, which
Well,
I have said they played a bunch of shitty teams in that win streak where everyone's like, "Oh, the Chiefs' defense is back." I'm like, no, look at who they played. Like, they played a bunch of shitty teams in the Packers without Aaron Rodgers. So good for them. They can
that
kind of perform sometimes.
yeah, no, absolutely. But however, the Chiefs, in my opinion, this season they are 12-5. But the eye test all season, they have just been so inconsistent. The offense has shown it can do what it's got to do and everything, but that defense is extremely suspect. And like I said, I worked at Disney. The stuff that's going on right now with Ben Roethlisberger, I couldn't write if I sat down with a pen and paper for a couple weeks and tried. Taking the Steelers plus the 12.5, not taking the money line at plus 500 yet. Not taking them yet. But I will take the 12.5. Gonna wait for the total to get down to 45. I think it'll get down to 45. I like 45 a lot more than I like 46.
Yeah, I'm not touching Steelers money line with a fucking 12-foot pole on this one. Um, I don't think the Chiefs deserve to be the favorite to win the AFC. Personally,
No,
I
not even a
understand.
little bit.
I understand why they are, but I don't think they deserve to be the favorite. However, the Steelers shouldn't even be in the fucking playoffs. And you know what? It's okay though. We get the closure we need. We get the retirement game for Big Ben. Um, he can, you know, do whatever he can muster up in this game and then just ride off into the sunset, hobble off into the sunset in Big Ben fashion, probably wearing like 3 layers of, ice on different ligaments. Yeah, the 12.5 makes it a little bit tougher. There's no way in hell the Steelers are winning this game, but I am gonna take them to cover 12.5.
Love it.
Just
Love
because
it.
that line is so big. I know Kansas City
So
just
big.
beat them 36-10 a couple weeks ago. I don't know that the Steelers are going to score more more points this go around, but I think their defense will hold Kansas City to a little bit less this time
And
around.
I will say, looking at the first half line right now, Steelers +7 at plus 100, Chiefs -7 at minus 120. And looking at where the money and the bets were for the full game, I do think we're going to see it at 13.5 by kickoff. If we're lucky and it keeps trending in that way, I think the books are going to be more than comfortable to keep moving that line in the Steelers' favor as long as the money keeps coming in on the Chiefs. So if you're patient, you may be able to get this line at 13.5, 14. I doubt 14, but
They
more than
won't go
likely
all
at
the,
the end
they
of this
won't
week,
go
you'll be able to take it at 13.5.
I'd be shocked if they go all the way to 14, 14
I
and a
would
half.
I would absolutely be shocked if they took it at 14 as well. But I do the way the money is moving right now, where the first half line's at, they're gonna have to move the first half line because I'm gonna slam Pittsburgh Steelers +7 first half plus 100. They're gonna have to move that to 7.5, 8, whatever they move it to. So they're gonna have to move the game total too, and that's where I think we're gonna see that line movement. I'm gonna be watching that one like a hawk because the moment that moves, I'm jumping over that because that's not
Yeah.
gonna be around for a while. So if you see it at 13.5, get on it because it's not going to be there for a long time.
What was the over under at in this game? Like
46.5.
46.
I don't like that total.
Hey, that's a tough one. I'm going to take the under. just in the spirit of it being the playoffs, I need to take a stance on every over under. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I
I'm
do
gonna
not
bet
though
the whole board.
because
I'm gonna bet the whole
I
board
hate
both
that.
ways because I can. You know.
Fair enough. And we do have the last game on Monday, the Monday night game. It's an NFC West matchup, one that we've seen repeatedly, one that we really can't get a grasp on. My Arizona Cardinals going to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are a 4-point favorite going into this game. Total is 49.5 points. JJ Watt will be back. D Hop, very questionable. I hate this Cardinals team. I tweeted out on Monday, this Kyler Murray Kingsbury experiment needs to be done. I talked about it on both of our live streams. If they don't win a playoff game, we need to cut ties, cut loose, because we have too good of a football team around two people that just get moody and start calling bullshit plays and making bullshit throws. I'm not about that. Not when we have the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in the league, excuse me, and with a defensive line that is second to none when everyone is healthy. Cardinals do play well on the road, though. They do play very well on the road. I saw a report. It could be because Kyler Murray isn't at home staying up all night playing video games. I'm just reporting what I'm
he
reading.
he literally is a child, not just in size, but in maturity too.
He is a
He,
prolific gamer. He is a part of FaZe Clan. He is on a Sports Illustrated
he's a
cover with them
bearded
and everything.
he's a bearded child with a deep voice.
And I mean, hey, he can play football sometimes, but he gets moody, he gets in that teen angst, and then he loses us football games. And that's what I'm worried about this game. We get behind. This is our first playoff game with him. We get behind. The Cardinals are done. We get behind. The Cardinals are done. We don't come back. Nothing. However, with all of that being said, I'm going to check the money really quick. Let me check the money. Let's check where the money's at. Pretty even. You
Yes.
got 51% of the bets, 59% of the money on the Cardinals. So obviously, everyone thinking 4 points is too many, thinking this game is going to end in a field goal and that the Cardinals will barely cover. Backdoor cover, as we like to say. I'm taking the Cardinals on the 4, and I'm also taking the money line. The money line's a homer pick. I'm going to be honest with you. The +4 is an analyst pick. Like me doing my job, I'm taking Cardinals +4. I'm taking Cardinals money line for my homer pick. I have to. I have to.
Uh, there is nothing about this Cardinals team that screams capable of winning a playoff game to me. I'm sorry I'm being harsh, AJ, but
I know. Hey,
only
I've watched them too. I know.
their last 6 games, they had a win over the Bears, 4 losses that includes a loss to the Seahawks and the Lions, and a very narrow win against the Cowboys. Holy shit, this is the definition of a team sliding. A team
Yeah.
barely barely skating into the playoffs after starting really strong on the season. Um, there is nothing about this team that exudes confidence for me. I don't think the Cardinals even think they're going to win this game. If I'm being completely honest,
Cardinals fans aren't even confident they're going to win this game.
I mean they're just sliding so hard. Um, I'm just hoping they keep it competitive and make it interesting because I feel like there's a good 50-60% chance they just fall flat on their face and lose this game by 20 points. I
It's a
would
very
not be
real possibility. My
I
one
would not
hope.
be surprised to see that happen. I don't think the Cardinals have any chance at blowing out the Rams. I think the Rams could blow out the Cardinals. I hope this game's close, but I don't know that it necessarily will be. I think there's a 50-50 chance, like I said, that the Cardinals fall flat on their face and just get embarrassed. Um, that's for that reason I'm taking Rams -4, 4.5.
So you're not worried about betting on Matt Stafford in the playoffs?
No, I think he.
You can take the
gets a win
man out of
here.
Detroit, but can you take the Lions out of the man?
I think it really hurt the Rams what happened week 18 to slide from the 2 seed to the 4 seed. I think whoever they end up playing, unless they get gift wrapped a home game by the Niners and the Eagles winning. Then again, they've lost 6 in a row to the Niners. So if they somehow end up playing the Niners, I will laugh my ass off if they beat the Cardinals, get a home game, and then have to play the 49ers and just get beat again for the 7th time in a row.
Oh, 100%. That'd be.
But yeah, unless they get gift wrapped the home game, they're playing on the road. I don't see them unless the right circumstances line up for them. I don't see them contesting for the NFC. I don't see them making the NFC Championship game, but I do think they pick up one win against the Cardinals because, like I said, I have no faith in the Cardinals to do anything in the playoffs here. I have more faith in the Niners or the Eagles to make a little bit of a run than I do the Cardinals at this point. And
Wow.
a month and a half ago, I was really high on the Cardinals. I'm like, hey, they've lost a game or two, but they look like a really good team. They don't look like a good team. Good teams don't get blown out. Good teams don't get blown out by 18 points or whatever it was by the Lions at home.
No, not at all.
You don't lose by 3 scores to the Detroit Lions at home if you're a good team. I mean,
no, you just don't. And don't get me wrong, those
teams
losses
lose.
are
Good
haunting
teams
me.
lose.
Watching them
You don't
on
get blown
Sunday
out.
against the Seahawks was rough. And Noah, I can sit here for the next 55 minutes and tell you everything wrong with that roster and everything wrong with what our play calls are and everything. But we'd all get bored with that bullshit. Here's what matters. Cardinals need to fucking show up. Kyler Murray needs to wake up, realize he's a fucking adult, go to work and do his job. And not get moody because his coworkers are pissing him off. I get moody and my coworkers piss me off. I get sent home for HR leave. He does it and he just loses a football game. And then gets paid a couple $1,000,000. Fuck that. Grow the fuck up, Kyle. Put on your big boy pants, handle situations like a man, and win us this football game. We are capable of winning this football team. We have a team that is capable of winning a playoff game. But if our quarterback starts getting moody, everyone else is start going to losing it and everything. J.J. Watt, if he is back, he will be big when it comes to mental of the game. I'm really counting on that. That's why we brought him in. It's a young team. We needed an older person to lead. But fuck, if Kyler starts going off the rails, the team's done. You start looking at Kyler's body language, you can see when the Cardinals lose a game. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's the thing. And he's a young quarterback, and hopefully he figures it out. I don't know if he will, but you can tell, like, when he's not making the best plays, when he makes some mistakes, he gets very pissy, is the way I would describe it.
When he is frustrated. When he gets frustrated, it's very obvious when he gets frustrated, and that leads into on the field.
Yeah, because you can see it in his body language. Every time he gets hit, every time he misses a throw, he's always looking at the refs, looking at the sideline, throwing his hands up. Like it's like put your head down, play the game, and like refs are gonna make some questionable calls. It always happens.
Yes.
So long as they're not egregious. It's like literally every fucking play he gets touched, he looks at the refs like, "Are you gonna throw a flag?" It's like, dude, you're what? I'm like,
yeah, and people are gonna say
you're supposed to get hit.
People are going to say I'm being super hard on Kyler for doing this because my other favorite quarterback, Tom Brady, does the same bullshit. He yells at his teammates on the sidelines all the time. The difference is Kyler Murray isn't Tom Brady. Kyler Murray doesn't go into, at least I haven't heard, that he doesn't go into every workout expecting perfection. He doesn't expect perfection throughout the practice. He doesn't make people redo plays, redo routes and stuff like that. Tom Brady expects perfection. So when people aren't perfect, he gets pissed off. When stupid mistakes are made, he gets pissed off because they practice those stupid mistakes to make them not happen. Kyler does not have a right to do that unless he's doing that on the practice field and that report just hasn't been put out. But until he shows that type of commitment that Tom Brady's shown, he needs to grow up and keep his emotions in check. I'm done with it, bro.
Tom Brady also just seems like an ass, but that's my
It's a
my
different
opinion.
conversation for later. Anyway, Noah, we have covered all of Super Wildcard Weekend. Do you have anything else to say to the DGens before we sign off for the day?
I do, because I think there's a lot of staying on the degenerate bets thing, covering a team that we is in the playoffs that we won't cover this week because they have a bye. And no, I am not talking about the Packers. I'm talking about the Tennessee Titans. I think there is
Yes.
a ton of value on the Titans at almost plus 400, almost 4-1 odds to win the AFC. Not the Super Bowl, just to make it out of the AFC. All they have to do is win 2 home games. AJ, I'm going to be slamming this line. I don't know why the Chiefs. I mean, I get why the Chiefs and the Bills are better odds than the Titans, but they're getting Derrick Henry back. They have the bye. All they have to do is win 2 home games. I think the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, the Titans have proven it. They've lost some questionable games this year, but they've also pretty much beaten about everybody there is to beat in the AFC in the regular season. Um, some of those games without Derrick Henry even in there.
True.
I think there's a ton of value at whatever plus 350, plus 375, whatever it is on the Titans to make it out of the AFC. Or even if you want to go a step farther, plus 800, plus maybe up to 900 at some books on the Titans to win the Super Bowl. I think it's a great little future bet.
It really is. I mean, at least if you're looking for value, it's a value pick. And it's if it cashes, I mean, you're gonna wake up a lot more money in your account. All I have to say is don't count out the Cardinals yet. If you don't know which way you're leaning on the Cardinals game, wait for the first 2 drives. If there's no scores, see Kyler Murray's body language because he's a child
That tells you
and
all
he'll
you
throw
need
a
to know.
tantrum.
If he's
That's all you
frustrated,
need
the
to know.
Cardinals. If he's frustrated at any point, the Cardinals are losing big time.
And that's all you need to know from us. We will be back next week covering all of the madness from Wildcard Weekend, along with, we'll start to cover some NHL, some college basketball, and stuff like that. We'll start to get into the groove of that as the NFL starts to wind down. With that being said, we may be back with another live show. Please check our Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for that. But until then, we will see you next time on Degenerate Takes.